Good afternoon. I'm Rajal Pandya-Lodge. I'm Chief of Staff in the Director General's Office at IFPRI, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to our Policy Roundtable on Tackling Famine in the 21st Century. Thank you for joining us here in person. Thank you for joining us online for the live stream event. And thank you to those of you who are joining us by video following the event. We're delighted to have these three audiences with us today. The issue of famine is timely and it is perplexing. After 10 plus years of economic growth and 20 plus years of early warning systems, famine still threatens millions of people in Nigeria, Somalia, South Sudan, Yemen, and elsewhere. The United Nations has called for the international community to provide $4.4 billion to prevent the worsening of devastating levels of food insecurity that threaten 20 million people in these 4 countries. In Yemen, the UN estimates that about 18.8 million people need assistance, and more than 7 million do not know where the next meal will come from. More than 7.5 million people in South Sudan are estimated to need aid. Continued fighting has displaced some 3.5 million people, and more than 1 million children are thought to be acutely malnourished. In Somalia, 6.2 million people, more than half the population, require humanitarian and protection assistance, and some 2.9 million people are at risk of famine. In northeastern Nigeria, Boko Haram stronghold in the last 3 years, many people have been displaced, harvests have been lost, and many children remain malnourished. So during this policy roundtable, we will explore what we need to know and to do differently to tackle famine. We will discuss whether the nature of famine is evolving, whether the drivers that are causing emergencies are different than what they were years ago, whether the approaches and the players involved in responding to them are different or need to be different. We will consider whether the information we have available is sufficient for us to tackle famine and how we can prevent and respond to it. And we will reflect on the lessons learned from countries that have successfully broken the cycle of recurrent crises. Let me briefly mention how we will organize this session. We will have introductory remarks from 5 wonderful panelists that we have here today. They will each speak for about 5 minutes, and then we will have a moderated discussion among the 5 of them, and then with you in the audience. And towards the end of the session, IFPRI's Director General will come up and share some of his closing reflections. So without further ado, I'd like you to join me in welcoming our wonderful panelists.